We all have to grow up at some point in our lives, whether it's by choice or because we're forced to. Eventually we must evolve into a better version of ourselves. And it seems that's the case with cars as well. Take the new Mazda 3 as a case in point. It's already one of the most popular small cars in the country, but that hasn't stopped Mazda from making some radical changes to push this all-new generation into a more grown-up space. Mazda has been pushing itself upmarket for years, straddling the line between mainstream and luxury. For this new model though, it has obviously crossed that line and is making a bold play to be seen as a far more prestigious choice than your average run-of-the-mill hatchback. This new model is more stylish, with far more dramatic lines than its predecessor that ushers in a new design era for the brand. And naturally, as any brand pushes more upmarket, the new 3 starts at a higher price than before. Even the names of the model grades have changed, with the Neo and Maxx Sport making way for the more prestigious sounding Pure and Evolve, as well as the continued Touring and the range-topping Astina. The interior is one area where this new generation Mazda 3 has made a major step forward. It's a complete redesign. Everything from the infotainment system, the graphics, even the seats have all been changed and overhauled in the name of making this a more comfortable environment. And it's been a success. It looks and feels far more premium. This really is bordering on a luxury car. It really does feel, look, all the touch points, everything feels really high quality in here. One area I really want to point out though is the infotainment system. The old system was slow and clunky, and to be fair, I criticised it quite a lot, but this new version is a massive, massive improvement. It still uses this rotary dial down here. It's no longer a touchscreen at all, but it's far more intuitive and easy to use. Clear graphics, easier menus. It's a huge improvement. And the other area they've really changed is the sound system. Mazda literally went back to square one and analysed how the human ear perceives sound to find the ideal placement for the speakers. And the result is actually a lot more clarity in the quality of the sound coming through, which is it's a real difference from the old model. You have to really hear it to believe it. But for audiophiles, they will love it. But beneath the new glamorous outside and the interior styling, there is a largely similar mechanical package underneath. The engines are the same 2-litre and 2.5-litre 4-cylinder petrol units, dubbed Skyactiv G by the brand, that were found in the previous model. The highly anticipated high-compression spark ignition petrol engine concept known as Skyactiv X that is planned for the new 3 won't actually be available until later this year. Performance is almost unchanged because the engines are carried over, with the 2-litre producing the identical 114 kilowatts of power and 200 Nm of torque as the old 3, while the 2.5-litre gets a 1 kilowatt and 2 Nm bump, now making 139 kilowatts of power and 252 Nm of torque. Both engines are available with the choice of a 6-speed manual or 6-speed automatic transmission. What that means when you're behind the wheel of the new Mazda 3 is that while everything looks very different, there's a familiar feeling to the way it drives. For as soon as you turn on the engine, that soundtrack is the same as what we had before, and so really is the performance. I'm in the 2.5-litre model, what's known as the G25, and to be honest, you put your foot down and it feels a little sluggish low down in the rev range, but once you get going and you get into that sweet spot, it has, pretty good performance for a small car. One of the really interesting technical changes that Mazda made is with the rear suspension. They ditched the multi-link setup in favour of a less sophisticated torsion beam. So they claim they've done that because it has a positive impact on the handling. And I've got to say, I think that's true. Driving it around some country roads today, it does feel really, turns in really positively. It's got really positive, responsive steering. The Bridgestone tyres provide good grip, so you can really tip it in and have some fun. It's quite an engaging small car to drive still. The trade-off though is the ride quality. The torsion beam does tend to feel a little bit busier over patchy roads, so you're sort of sacrificing that little bit of comfort in the name of handling. And speaking of comfort, one of the other big changes is cabin noise. That's been a bugbear of the Mazda brand for so long, but they've turned a corner in recent years, and the Mazda 3 is the latest to benefit from that knowledge that they've gained. It really does feel a lot quieter, more isolated from the world outside, which again just works with that premium feel that they're going for. Part of the growing up process is finding new people to interact with, and that's what Mazda is hoping to do with this new Generation 3. In its bid to push the model as more of a style statement than a practical small car, it has ditched the entry-grade Neo model, priced around the $20,000 mark, and instead, the lineup now starts at $24,990 plus on-road costs for the G20 Pure, and stretches all the way to $37,990 for the G25 Astina tested here. It's a bold play for the brand that had made this car at one point in recent history the most popular passenger car in the country. But now Mazda has decided it's time for the 3 to grow up, so if it loses a few friends along the way, that's a price the company is willing to pay. But that's okay, because based on our initial drive, the new Mazda 3 will still have plenty of appeal to those looking for small car transport with sophistication and design at the forefront.